Hi there, and hello to all you theater teachers and students viewing DramaCon 2021. I'm Pollyanna, a theater education major at BYU, and your instructor for When the Show Must Go On Online, Act 2, Performance Tips and Tricks. This is a 2-act tutorial on live streaming live theater. I hope you enjoy this half of the show, and when you're done viewing, be sure to check out the other half of this program, Act 1, Production Tips and Tricks. Why online? Well, for one, it's fun. And even if your whole school or theater doesn't face a shutdown, your actors could unexpectedly quarantine during rehearsals or performances. We all grieved school and theater closures in different ways, but as theater teachers and performers, we meet these issues with our typical rally cry, "The show must go on." Some reached for the stars by reinventing where theater is performed, such as these seniors performing songs inside personal rain shelters while their audience listened to them live over their car radios in high school parking lots.
Rejoice, rejoice, da 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 da.
Many began filming from home. But even actors familiar with day-to-day camera work like Seth Meyers and Jimmy Fallon admitted that the most difficult challenge they faced was figuring out the tech. While some scrambled to put together Zoom rooms, a usually private location that we can consistently film from, not even all Broadway stars have theaters in their home. Action! And some television stars had to make do with blank walls or even filming from common living areas.
You're not wrong.
Mostly understood. How can we help our students continue directing and writing and acting in quality performances? I've gathered over 30 teachers and performers from Arizona to Washington and from Kentucky to Japan to share and demonstrate ideas on how to enhance your performances as you live stream live theater. In this tutorial, we'll be sharing examples from an online video chat platform, such as Zoom, often enhanced with free streaming software such as OBS for video and QLab for sound. But many of the tips and tricks we'll share with you are also helpful across your favorite software application and school-enforced online platform. This class is created for teachers and students, whether you're a director, dramaturg, playwright, or performer, doing your own tech work from your Zoom room. For this tutorial, I'll share my favorite tips on digital dramaturgy with dramaturg Shelley Graham. We'll also hear from playwright Hannah Gunson-McComb, whose play Hysterical premiered on a video chat venue, and from professional actors on the pros and cons of performing over Zoom. And then I'll show you some stage magic that I learned while directing a live streamed production this past semester. Like how these students in different locations around the world can simultaneously zoom onto the same stage and interact with each other.
It was a dark and stormy night.
If you would like to know more about the software we used to turn a Zoom call into what you're seeing on the screen, please check out the other half of this tutorial. When the Show Must Go On Online, Act 1, Production Tips and Tricks. Take 2, Give 2. For this tutorial, I challenge you to take 2. Find at least 2 new ideas and try them out. They may be something you see or hear or something altogether new inspired by your experience at DramaCon 2021. Then give 2. Share 2 ideas with another theater teacher or student. I'd love to hear back from you on my website, pollyanna.works, with any questions or suggestions. This website is also where you'll find the ideas and URLs mentioned in this tutorial, and even more tips and tricks than we had time to include here. So whether these ideas help your first foray into live streaming live theater or your next, here are some tips and tricks for when the show must go on online. Act 2, Performance Tips and Tricks. If you live in Utah and know a dramaturg, chances are you know Shelley Graham. She's the quintessential advocate for how dramaturgy can improve a performance. So without further ado,
Hello, everyone at UTA 2021. My name is Shelley Graham, and I teach dramaturgy and new play development at Brigham Young University. I'm so glad to have a second to talk to you just a little bit about some of the great things that we've been able to do dramaturgically with our virtual and live streamed productions this past season. And now I want to take just a second to highlight 3 really great things that dramaturgs can do in a digital production era. So the first thing I'd like to highlight is the virtual lobby display. And our lobbies have kind of changed since they're all on a screen. And we've included the space before a virtual production and sometimes the space in between acts or at an intermission of a virtual production as our lobby space. And so dramaturgs have created audience information that welcomes them into the world of the play. Sometimes it runs as a prezi or a slideshow or a very short movie just before the performance begins, or sometimes it runs at intermission and even after the show. So that virtual lobby space can only be like 1 minute, 2 minutes long, but information to help the audience really feel like they get to be a part of the world of the play. So the second thing I'd like to highlight is the virtual or the digital program and study guide. Dramaturgs this season have had the opportunity to create on social media using Facebook or Instagram, creating their own websites, or even just creating blog posts to share digital program information with the audience, which means the audience can follow a production on Facebook or Instagram at any time, not just during the actual performance itself, to learn more about the world of the play, to learn more about the performers and the actors, the design concepts, and to really engage further with the performance itself. And what has been equally interesting is that we've had QR codes available so that audience members can scan a QR code and have a program or a study guide on their phone that they're scrolling through while they're watching a performance on their laptop. So it's almost like having a paper playbill or study guide. So the third and final thing that I'd like to highlight about digital dramaturgy is the chance to have a virtual post-show discussion. So links to these virtual post-show discussions can be found at the end of a live streamed performance, or they can be available in any of the lobby or program materials I've talked about. It can be immediately following the performance, or it can even happen at a completely different time. But in a Zoom format, you can have a conversation with audience members about the production itself. And what's really nice is you have the chat feature running alongside your post-show discussion, and audience members who may be less likely to comment in a live post-show discussion are more willing to type up their comments in the chat feature, and then the dramaturgs can offer a shout out to those audience members or even share their comments, and audience members can engage in a variety of ways in these post-show discussions. So the digital format has really opened things up for dramaturgy in a lot of ways.
Death to all tyrants! No! No, not you! Don't die! No!
Good evening. I'm Pollyanna, the dramaturg for tonight's post-show discussion, Locked Zoom Room Murder Mystery.
So those are some of my tips for digital dramaturgy in a live streaming theater setting. I'm so glad to have shared them with you. If you are interested in this and want to learn a little bit more, you can check out the BYU Dramaturgy website at fourthwalldramaturgy.byu.edu, or you can shoot me an email. I'd love to chat a little bit more about how much I love dramaturgy and how we're making it work in this digital theater age. Thanks for watching. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Shelley. Your smile is contagious, and your enthusiasm for quality theater is infectious. It's the perfect cure for theater teachers and students during a pandemic. Shelley's tip on creating a program brings up a touchy topic for live streaming live theater: copyright and royalties. Although several productions were cut short in the spring of 2020 because their current in-use contracts did not allow for online audience viewing, since then, several playwright publishers have had to pivot to the new status quo to stay in business, and some dovetail the handling of ticket sales for various paid viewing options. Shakespeare is often the go-to for free material. He's great and all, But there are so many other options out there, so include other works entering the public domain, such as The Great Gatsby. What better time than now to boost your budding student playwrights? You could host a Make a Scene contest, encouraging everyone to submit just a scene from what they hope will one day be a full-length musical or play. Here's a dramatic moment from a student playwright in Kentucky.
On guard, Emily. Never! You stole the gold from my ship. You must pay.
Never!
Is never all you can say?
Maybe. God, never! You stole the gold off my ship. Prepare to pay. Never! Is never all you can say? Imagine me on the battlefield, taking people out left and right. Pew, 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 pew!
Thomas, you're scaring me. You could die out there.
Wait, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to scare you. I was just pretending.
I know.
It'll probably never happen anyway. I'm sure the war will be over before I'm old enough to go.
Okay.
Imagine me on the battlefield, just taking out people left and right. Pew, pew,
Thomas, Thomas, stop. You're scaring me. I don't want you to leave. You could die out there.
I thought it'd be over by the time I was old enough to go to war anyway.
Yeah.
Abby, a theater teacher in Alabama, suggests that whatever you choose for your first online production, start small. Have you and your student directors, cast, and crew work in teams taking a scene from page to screen stage. There are several playwrights at the college or graduate level also vying to see their work performed. Prior to the pandemic, I reached out to BYU master's student Hannah Gunson McComb. I knew of her masterfully written Gothic thriller entitled Hysterical, where the ghosts of the past threaten the present state and future vitality of Victorian family values. When my production needed to switch to live streaming live theater, she was game. So how might a playwright feel about their production moving from page to screen stage? Here's our playwright's perception of her play premiering online.
Hi Pollyanna. All right, this video is for your UTA. Some of the pros and cons of seeing one of your plays produced online. First of all, I thought it was really fun. I thought it was really cool to be a part of this new movement, as we've had such a fun time figuring out how to do art with coronavirus. I was so grateful to be a part of what it's like to produce a show under those unprecedented times. I was really grateful to have such a forward-thinking director who could visualize in terms of an online format. So it's really cool to be a part of that. It's also just such a rewarding experience for any playwright to have their production performed. It's so much different from a staged reading. At first, I thought it might be kind of like a staged reading. And I was so surprised at how different it was actually from a regular old staged reading. There was a lot more action to it. And when I wrote this, I hoped that there would be some good action. I hoped there would be some good action involved. And I feel like even though we didn't get to see the actors actually interact with each other on stage, I nonetheless felt that there was a level of interaction between them. So good to the director for being able to put them together, and good on the actors for that. Some of the cons is that I really would have liked to see a real ghost on stage. I'm not gonna lie, when I wrote that, I was like, oh, I really, really hope I will get to one day see it. I still have hope. One day I will be able to see a real live ghost on stage. The other thing is that I had a lot of fun writing, imagining building the set for this house and to be able to see all the action that happens at once. I was able to go to London and see some original Victorian London houses, and so when I was writing Hysterical, I was thinking about this one house in particular that's in Kensington, and I would have really liked to see a set designer sink their teeth into that and explore and to play with however much space on stage they could get. So I'd love to see some practical effects. I'd love to see some sets. And as always, I love to see a good costume. I love, love, love to see a good Victorian costume. So some very interesting pros and cons there. All in all, it was such a rewarding experience. Like I said before, as a playwright, I don't think that there's anything better than to see someone love your work. Pollyanna certainly loved my work, and it showed. And it was so moving and so touching to me. There's nothing more rewarding than to have someone love your work, and there's nothing more, the second thing is nothing more rewarding than to see it actually performed and to see people memorize the lines and to act it out.
Nice compliments, and right back at ya. Thanks for giving permission to use and stream your script. Her Victorian Gothic thriller gave both chills and thrills and did not disappoint. I look forward to reading more of her plays in the future. We are halfway through our instructors in this theater tutorial, so it's time for an intermission idea. To save your production from common online errors, have your cast and crew learn and practice this mantra. Reboot and recharge before rehearsal.
Reboot, recharge before rehearsal.
While they're practicing clean tech health, have them turn off the alert sounds on their devices to avoid unwanted ringings and pingings. And what's that mantra again? That's right.
Reboot, recharge before rehearsal.
And now a word about the pros and cons of acting in Zoom room theater from those bravely treading where few live theater performers dared to tread before 2020. This is actor Andrew Elijah Schindler.
A tip I'd like to give when it comes to working with acting over Zoom is, in my experience, it's a bit more like working with film, because while on Zoom you can get that interaction with your other actors, sometimes with an audience, but I think that it can be unreliable, and I think other people have mentioned that it can be, the internet can be an unreliable connection. But I think making sure that you're using the rehearsal that you've done and sort of going with that, and not being completely inflexible. But I feel like when you're giving lines, it helps to imagine it like you're delivering lines like you would for a camera during film, but also keeping in mind that you do need to watch for that feedback. But the scary thing is that feedback doesn't always come, and if it does come, it can be late, because it's happened a lot where I will give a line and then I'll wait for the next line, but it will never come. Even though it's like other people on the connection have seen it, my device for whatever reason wasn't getting audio. So I think it requires a lot of confidence and occasional guesswork. But for me, it helps to treat it more like we're filming it and just giving it that to the camera.
This is actress Genevieve Schindler.
Okay. So I think a pro for doing theater on Zoom like this is that I personally want to study film, like how to act for film instead of theater. And so I think this is kind of like the middle ground between that. So because of this, I've had the opportunity to learn how to do like lighting and set and costuming all for myself in my own environment. Whereas a con, obviously the internet is very unreliable. Lots of times it just freezes out of nowhere, or like the audio just decides not to work, or if you're doing it on your phone, sometimes you'll just have a random person call you. But yeah.
This is actor Cameron Robbins.
The con for me with like the online acting can be just it is a little harder to connect with your other partners, and it can be a little more difficult to have chemistry and to have that connection with the other actors. But a pro is also that you do get to feel a little more involved with it. I mean, you're in your own home, but you also get to feel like just the creative process. You do feel a little more involved in bringing it about.
This is actress Chelsea Mortensen.
For me, the biggest con of doing online theater is that you don't get to be in the same room as the artist you're working with. The pro is that from the comfort of your own spaces, you're all solving these problems together in a creative new way. And it's really exciting to be doing something new and to have a different kind of power over your space and how the story is told.
Let's offer another round of applause to our professional actors willing to illustrate the tips and tricks on both halves of this video tutorial. To catch another of their live stream performances, please see Act 1, Production Tips and Tricks. This fall, I had the opportunity to direct a live theater production online. I learned valuable lessons from this experience, including ideas from my fellow directors and designers as we ventured into live streaming live theater. You've heard of sleight of hand. I call these tips and tricks sleight of stage. Charles Dickens prefaces his ghostly novel, A Christmas Carol, with,
"There is no doubt that Marley was dead. This must be distinctly understood, or nothing wonderful can come of the story I am going to relate."
Likewise, you should know that the following examples in my sleight of stage tips are actual examples of live theater simultaneously live streamed by actors individually from their homes. Some of the cast and crew lived only a few miles apart, but one actor zoomed in from another city in Utah, and another zoomed in from California. There was usually at least one member of our audience who was amazed when they learned the distance of our performers in what appears to be a single room. Although it's acceptable to use only the stage directions that work for your production, you can help bridge the gap between live and in-person theater performances versus the screen if you make an effort to do what you can. I'm going to share 3 sleight of stage tricks that enhanced our online performances. The first sleight of stage trick is passing the prop. When an actor received a prop from another actor over video chat, we provided identical props for both performers. Actors chose furniture in their Zoom room that was placed out of view of the camera to help them reach off camera at the height their character would naturally retrieve an item. We hosted previews of our show to practice our high and low tech skills and for suggested areas of improvement.
I retrieve it. Okay.
With our actors' Zoom rooms, at whatever scale they could give us, we tilted their frames from one another to avoid needing to line them up exactly. One astute audience member suggested that at the start of the show, we pass a single prop across the screen to highlight that this was not 5 separate rooms in a Victorian mansion, but a shared stage space. My second sleight of stage trick is exit stage center. One benefit unique to live streaming live theater is that, in addition to exits off stage left and right, there is an instant exit created off stage center between 2 characters' Zoom rooms. In a few of our physical connections between actors, if they so much as leaned slightly off camera in the direction of their scene partner, we were able to make it appear that the actors connected in the spaces between their screens. We worked on matching the timing and height, and the viewer's eye filled in the gap.
Such a good kisser.
My third sleight of stage trick is all about lending a hand. There were times in our script when characters needed to physically interact back and forth. We took rehearsals for our actors to improv with their scene partners what this might look like. For a few of the interactions, the best option was actually to have the actors reach across from their Zoom room to another. When a student has a large project due or a performance, it's not unusual for them to ask a family member to lend a hand or attend an event. But rehearsals and performing on camera may be too much to ask, so I didn't require this of my auditioning actors. However, once I cast the play, I had them ask if any family members or household members would be willing to lend a hand, committing to all run-throughs and performances. We worked hard to match the timing.
I'm not a gentleman. Nope.
The screen space. I wondered if we were being too detail-oriented, but if our shirt and coat sleeves didn't match, in our previews, there was always an observant audience member who left a comment, which helped to sharpen our show.
If I wasn't such a gentleman, I'd slap you.
I'm not a gentleman. Ha!
In closing, remember the challenge. At least take 2 and give 2. I'd like to thank all of the teachers and performers and my family who've taught me more than 2 ideas while live streaming live theater. And now that you've watched it, That makes at least one person I've shared ideas with. Now I need to go find another theater teacher or student to give them ideas I learned from other classes at UTA DramaCon 2021. There are a variety of ways and benefits to performing online, but one benefit to planning a performance via an online platform from the start is that no matter what, the show can still go on online. Be sure to catch the other half of this course, Act 1 Production Tips and Tricks. All URLs, contact information, and more tips and tricks are available on my website, Pollyanna.works. Bye!